First thing we want to do is develop genetically superior bees.
My name is Jeff Nelson. My father and I had an idea to begin a hobby keeping honeybees. Now, we have decided to turn our hobby into a business. I invite you to join us as we set out to build honeybee apiaries across the state of Nebraska. People told us that it couldn't be done. Watch as we set out to prove them wrong. We are on a mission to save honeybees. We are Nebraska Bee Men.
Let's see if we can't get stung a little bit here. This is our Russian colony, one of the first two nukes that we got early in the year. This one's already been winterized, so I put these end insulation boards on. I won't pull them out. You can see the temperature and humidity inside the hive before I opened it. So while it's just under 50 degrees outside, and I've had it open for a few seconds, it's showing 49% humidity, and it was about 62 degrees in here when I opened it. So over probably 10-15% warmer than the outside temperature. This is one of the Langstroth to land nukes that we adapted earlier in the year. So dark old comb, and this is a honey frame here. So go ahead and put this one back. So you hear the bees getting agitated. Of course, it's a bit cold still. And this isn't really how they wanted to wake up. They'd rather wake up on their own than me coming and messing with them. Here we got a frame with some honey, capped honey and pollen. A lot of bees on it. This looks alright. I'm not seeing anything that concerns me. Here's a small hive beetle, but I'm seeing hive beetles that aren't moving. They're appearing dead. Here we got a couple. I'm just going to clean them off and smush them. Try and give the bees any advantage we can heading into winter with these pests that they deal with all summer. That's all I can see on that side. And it's really important to put the frames back in as you take them out. The bees like the arrangement they have in their hive for a certain reason, so we don't ever want to mess with that. This one go back in. One of the advantages of Land's hives is the top bars all meet together, so there's very little disturbance once I pull this frame out to set it back against the other one. Suddenly those bees, it's as if the hive didn't even open. Now this colony is a Russian colony that has crossed with a Wyoming colony we got of Carniolan, Russian, and feral bees. And so a lot of beekeepers believe Russian bees, the second generation of the queen, the bees become too aggressive. And you haven't really seen that yet. Rarely to get stung from this colony. But this was a colony that was barely surviving before they raised a new queen that crossed with the genetics of the other colony. You notice the bee right here that's trying to pick up that small hive beetle and carry it away. Towards the edge, they're corralling these small hive beetles. So this is another frame of Langstroth that we converted. You notice all along the top edge, the little holes and creases in these plastic frames, the small hive beetles want to hide in there. And this is one of the reasons I hate plastic frames. Everything natural, it's a lot easier for the bees to do their job of getting rid of the small hive beetles. And this is a frame, if it didn't have honey, I'd just assume pull it out of the hive, give the bees any advantage you can to not have to deal with these small hive beetles that can hide so easily. But they, if you watch, sometimes these beetles, when they fall down, so here's one I just flicked down. If I were to leave this beetle flipped over on its back, the bees will come and pick it up and fly away with it and drop it. And so, while they don't like me messing with their hive right now, I think they sense that I'm trying to help clear away these pests and get the small hive beetles out of here. And I believe they appreciate it, so they're not really too bothered that I'm in here. But again, I want to limit the amount of time. Every time this is exposed, the fewer amount of disruptions as possible, the better. Everything I'm seeing so far I like. We got honey reserves, healthy looking numbers of bees, and these are all treatment free. So now they're waking up a bit more. So this is another frame. We see all the pollen packed away inside tightly. No signs of any destruction from small hive beetle larvae, which would just look like trails throughout the wax where they're eating their way and leaving a slime, a yeast that creates a slime basically, and it ends up destroying all the wax in the hive. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. A lot of food. All right, starting to see a little bit of brood, capped brood, frame honey at the top on this one. Very small amounts. Russian colonies really moderate the population control a lot better to limit the population size. And that's one of the genetic traits of the Russian bee queens, is they're really a lot better at controlling how many mouths to feed in the hive. So see, capped brood in the middle on both sides of this frame, honey stores at top. I'm going to kind of speed up a bit here. We're really disturbing the bees here. By opening up this hive, we just released a large amount of heat that they have built up. One of the only things I'm looking for, a lot of times people think you need to go and find the queen at every single hive inspection. All I'm really looking for is just to see that we have brood, and if I could see some eggs that were freshly laid, that would be a sign to me that we got a healthy hive. And so that's what I'm seeing right here. If you look close in the middle of the brood, you'll see open larva that's in there, and on both sides, and you can even see very small eggs in some of the holes. So I've seen enough from this colony to know there's a healthy queen, and there's plenty of honey on every single frame. Lots of food in this. These bees should have no problem surviving. This inboard, they are already propolised the edges of it to the frame, sealing it up with propolis being their glue that they use from tree sap and their saliva to seal up the edges really tightly. So right now, all the heat in this colony with these frame tops pushed together, they'll reseal all of them with propolis and button it up. So now the heat temperature we're showing here, you can take a look. It's dropped down to what our ambient temperature is outside, 51 degrees. So before 60, So this hive, you can see drones. These are all, those bigger bees are all the males that this colony hasn't kicked out yet. But this is by far one of the strongest colonies that we have in terms of production, food stores, things of that nature. I mean, just loaded full, almost every single frame. So we work on our bee genetics for next year. We'll pick an apiary location that will have the best colonies, and this will be one of them. So here you see really healthy looking amount of brood and open larvae, both sides of the frame. This colony's doing very well. There's the queen. Looks like she's about ready to lay an egg. Yeah, they're getting pretty agitated. So, at this point, we're about ready to close this thing up. This is one of the first hives that I built, and it's a 28 frame hive, which at the time I thought build it as big as you can, and later realized it was a mistake. But you'll see the temperature here and outside humidity, 73 degrees, which is not completely accurate because we're sitting in a little plastic container, but 48 is the temperature. We'll take a look inside the hive to see how well these are hold the temperature better. Now this first generation of hives, I built 2 of these. These were not wrapped with the reflective foam insulation under the cedar shingles, so actually the temperature is not quite as good in this design, but you do have 2-inch thick walls and then your cedar on the outside. So this is a Russian colony, one of our first Russian colonies. So 50 degrees, 50% humidity is what it's showing, so it's about a 10-degree difference there. Space. In nature, bees don't have this big of hives. They're much smaller, 40 liters. This is probably, 80 liters or more, the size I have here. But no sign of bees on top. They're all pretty much bundled away inside, I'm guessing. So we'll open it up and see what we got here. This has been one of the best colonies as far as packing away food reserves. There we've got a bigger cluster, honey stores on top, and notice right here what possibly was a swarm cell or a queen cell at one time, but very little concern of that at this point. Any sort of swarming activity. A couple of hive beetles again, quite a few at the top on this frame, so I'm going to again just kind of pound them off and kill what I can. I've tried beetle traps, I've tried various strategies to remove the beetles. Nothing that's really that effective to this point, so it's probably something to just kind of keep game planning. I've tried the Swiffer sheets that they get their legs stuck in, all the different strategies beekeepers suggest, and to this point just not really finding something that's anything that's that effective. So okay, healthy looking frame. We got honey all along the top. In the wintertime, the bees are going to be balled up into a cluster in the middle of these frames, and as they need food, they're just going to eat their way up. And when this frame has been eaten away, and the heat from that cluster heating all of the honey, so while it's negative 20 degrees outside Nebraska and we're all freezing our asses off, the bees are keeping their food source warm as they move across the top of the frame, and then horizontally from frame to frame they'll move. So really liking what I'm seeing here. Same thing like what I'm seeing here. We got food all along the top of this frame, both sides. Lots of food reserves. Not as many beetles as we get closer into the center of the nest here, but there's some in here still. So let's keep moving along. You know, my smoker's gone out, which normally, you know, I'd be a little concerned about. I mean, you want to have the smoke available if the bees start getting really agitated. But with this colony, I just am not very concerned really of getting stung. It's good to know your bees. So we have some uncapped nectar here that either they've uncapped and have started eating themselves, or it's still drying. They're letting the humidity level get correct before they cap it. So far, no brood. We'll keep working our way through. Okay. Got here. Now we're starting to get in some capped brood towards the middle of this frame. Honey is still at the top. This is a good overwintering frame where they've got a nest. Again, there's some more capped brood. I'm not really seeing any larvae or eggs yet at this point. So keep moving. So see the difference. Here's another Langstroth converted frame. You notice Russian colonies. 1, 2 queen cells, 3 down at the bottom, and they like to just keep those on hand. 4, 5. I won't do anything to mess with it. I don't want to disrupt what their plans are. Here's another reason why I hate wax foundation frames. They don't draw it out in all the places, and I don't think they like it. So I don't like it either. Alright, seeing more honey, uncapped nectar at the top. A lot of pollen on this frame, and bee bread towards the center. A couple beetles here and there. No sign of damage again from larvae. So I'll put this one back. Alright, seeing a lot of beetles and no brood. So, yeah, that's concerning. This colony may not make it through the winter. So,